Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this will probably be a long video, knowing my process. And in our last video, I shared with you how I had taken Gina's Master Layout 1 and recreated that in Design Space. Since then, and I've shared that file with you, and since then I've also created 2, 3, and 4. And I will share the links for those in or on the Facebook page if you're interested. But today we're going to do a different one. It's going to be Gina K again, but we're going to go up to Die Master Layout 10. That was the first one on the list when I went in and looked, and I noticed right away that there is an interesting shape here. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. Now I've gone ahead and saved my faux stitching file just so I can pull this up, and it comes in with 2 files where the stitching is further apart, or not 2 files but 2 images where the stitching is further apart, and I've gone ahead and even made the stitching a little bit closer together yet on this one. And to do that, all I did was grab the handle and slide it to, shorten it or lengthen it, whichever you want to do. But first off, we need to pull in some shapes. So we know we need a square, and I don't know if I want that oval or if I just want a circle. I'll pull it in. I may not use that one. We've already got our line there, and let's see. I think that's all we need. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to change the colors on there just so they're, more appealing to me. Hopefully you like blue. Okay, so the first thing we've got is, actually I'm going to put all those back, and I'm just going to make copies as I need them. So we're just going to do the easy rectangle first. So I've made a copy of that. And if you look at her measurements, which she includes on the website, you can see how big she makes these. So her largest plain rectangle is 3.625 by 8.625. So we're going to unlock our proportions and go 3.865 by, I think it was 625. I think I did that wrong. I'm going to 8.625 and 3.625. So this is for a slimline card. And I apologize if you can hear my cat. She's either having a toddler or a teenager tantrum. I'm not sure which. But she's very grumpy today. Whiny. Let's say whiny. Okay, so there's our first rectangle. Now the second rectangle is the one that's stitched, and it's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate that. And I'm going to make the ones in the back a darker blue. So let's go here, and I usually pick it somewhere around in there. Okay, so the stitched one is actually going to be 3.5 by 8.5. So let's go 3.5 by 8.5, and that will fit neatly inside there. So now we want to add our stitching to it. So I'm going to go ahead and just slide this over this way. I'm going to grab a copy of my stitching line and bring that over. Now normally we're working with our 4.5 or 4.25 by 5.5 cards, so this stitching line is more than long enough, but it's a little short for this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. There we go. And I'm going to bring it down here, and then I'm going to align to the left or the right. I say that every time, I'm sorry. Just whichever one I see first. And then I'm going to align it, well, it won't let me distribute it horizontally or vertically, so let's see, I'm going to zoom in because those are some tiny stitches. I think I went for 8 per inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 7 per inch. So I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to pull it up a little bit, and maybe one more. Okay, so I'm going to group those together for now. will zoom back out, and I'm going to pull this over here, and actually I want to highlight both of these, or select both of these, and I'm going to move them over. Let's move them over to 10 and 1. Okay, and then I'm going to slide that over. So this is covering up our stitching line, so we're going to move this to the back. And now we're going to grab our stitching line again. And I'm guessing, since she likes to work in 1/8 inch increments, that these are an 1/8 inch inside the border. So we're at 10, so we need to go 10.125 and 1.125. So then we can scroll down, and we're going to ungroup our stitching line, and then we're going to remove, I think we have to ungroup again, we do, and then we're going to remove these extra stitches, or cut lines, whatever you want to call them. That's probably not the one I want. Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this over. I'm going to go back and grab all of this again. Oops, maybe. I might have to zoom back out just to be sure. Okay, so then I'm going to group it one more time. Now, this is one of the reasons I choose numbers that I can remember easily with my position tool up here. 10 and 1. That puts it right back to where it was. So now if I select the stitching, I can duplicate that, and I can move it over, and we know this blue rectangle is 3.5 inches wide, and we started on the 10, which makes it 13.5 when you add those two together. We just need to subtract 1/8 of an inch from that. So we'll grab this again, and we're going to make it 13.375 and 1.125. And there you go. That's the easiest way to get those kind of centered and aligned. So now I want to grab both stitching lines. Well, actually first I want to just copy one of them, or duplicate it. Just get this out of the way. So I'm going to grab both of them. I'm going to group them. Then I'm going to select those and the rectangle, and I'm going to center them. Okay, so now we're going to take this and we're going to flip it 90 degrees because we need to stitch the top and the bottom, right? So obviously we've got way more here than we need, so I'm going to ungroup it and then just grab, whoop, I guess I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to Control Z, and we'll just slide it over here. So if we're on the 1 inch line, we know we need to go down to 1.125, and we need to go over to 10.125. And that aligns it with the previous stitching line, as well as the current rectangular piece. So now we can take off all of these extra stitches. And I may have to zoom in to get close enough. We'll see. That might be all right. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to move this blue rectangle out of the way again. I am going to zoom in so I don't end up grabbing some of the wrong stuff here. And I'm going to just select those stitches. Yes. I'm going to regroup them, and then I'm going to center them, align and center horizontally, and then we'll take a look. And I could have probably kept one of those stitches in there, so I'm going to Control Z, go back a little bit, and we'll try this again. Oh, okay, I need to ungroup that. That's why that happened. And we'll get rid of those. And then I just want to get rid of this one out here. Oh, wrong one. when they're this small, it's hard to grab the one you want. Okay, so I'm going to slide this rectangle over again and come back up and select just those stitches. We're going to regroup them. We're going to select everything, and we're going to center it horizontally. And then we're going to take this and move it back to 10 and 1. Then we can grab this top line, maybe. Okay, let's find out which group it is. It's this one here. So I'm going to duplicate that, and then we will just move that down to right about there to start with. So we know it needs to go to 10.125. And actually that looks really good. Might be coming down just a smidge if I can re-grab it. Nope. Try that one. Come down 1. Alright, so this blue rectangle is 8.5 inches long, and we're on the 1 inch, so that's 9.5. So what we need to do is take 9.5 minus 1/8. So it's really going to go to, oh, we were very close, 3.75. Oops. There we go. It needed to come down just a little bit more. So there you go. There we have it. That is how you do that. Now, this is a little time consuming, but if you like that look, it's worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and attach everything. So that's how you do that. Now, the interesting shape on here is this round, or this oval with the point sticking out of it. So we're just going to try and, I've got a couple different ideas to try and recreate this. So first we'll take the oval and a square, and we'll duplicate, and we'll bring those over here. Let's get us a clear work surface. We can zoom back in. Okay, so we know we need to unlock the proportions on our square because it's going to end up looking more like a rectangle once we get it where we want it. So I'm just kind of playing with this a little bit. I'll pull that out a little bit more, and then let's center it and see if it's kind of close to what she's got. Align, center. I think the rectangle is too big. Yeah, so we're going to make it a little bit smaller, and we're going to try that again. And this is really just trial and error. That doesn't look bad. Let's duplicate it real quick. Well, except I grouped it. I always hit the wrong button. Alright, and then I'm going to weld one of them. So that's pretty close. May not be exact, but it's really close. Now, stitching lines around that, honestly, I'm not even going to attempt it because I have not come up with a tried and true method yet for doing the curves. I can kind of do a circle, but I can't, you know, I tried a heart, for instance, and because you've got the points and the rounded areas, it just didn't work. So I haven't figured out how to do that. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means I haven't figured it out yet. But there you go. You have your interesting little sentiment placard, whatever you want to call it. And she has that. She calls it the plain label, 2.5 or 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So it's 3.75 by 2.75. That's quite a bit bigger than I was expecting. But that's 2.75 by 3.75. That's right. Well, let me zoom out. That's a little far. And then you can see what that would look like. It does fit on there. Barely. Actually, it's a little bit wider. So So she actually shows you a couple of examples where she turns it. She does use it this way on one of her examples with a couple of different layers, but then she also takes and turns it 90 degrees and uses it that way. So that's good to know. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to show you the other idea that I had, where you take two circles, and we still need that square. And this is really just to show you that there's more than one way to do something. I was going to say skin a cat, but then I thought, well, my cat's been acting up today. I might not want to give her any ideas. All right, so I'm going to make another copy of this, and I'm going to align them at the top. And that actually isn't going to give me what I want, is it? It's not, but since we're here, let's go ahead and play with this. So I'm gonna duplicate those because I'm gonna try something else, and I'm going to put this in the back. So let's first look, how tall are these? These are 2 inches exactly. That's great. So this is 2 inches as well, and I'm going to unlock it here and just drag it over to there. I don't know. And then let's try welding. Oh, let's center everything. No, we don't want to center our circles because I didn't group them. Let's just go ahead and combine and weld. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, well, that's, you know, it's usable. It wasn't what I was looking for, but it is usable. I did not, however, duplicate my square again. So let's try something else. I think I'm actually going to need 2 of those. So I'm going to separate these a little bit. And then I'm going to bring this in, and again, I want to align these at the top. At the top. And I'm going to group them so they don't move. I'm going to bring this in, and going to unlock our proportions, drag this over. Could maybe, well, let's just center it and see what we got. And we'll zoom in. That looks good. All right, so I'm going to combine and weld. So you kind of got your elongated oval / pill shape. This is already not looking like I was expecting it to look. But there's a couple different things you could do here. Oh, I think I hear thunder. So you could do something like that and center it, and then it would, that's not bad actually. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and align and center and save it. And it'll just be a part of this file. And I'm going to weld it as well. Combine and weld. So it's different than this one, but similar. You see how? Yeah. So anyway, that's how you would make that shape. And the only other thing she has on there is this small sentiment strip that is stitched, which we can do that real quick. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to move these over here, but I will leave them in the file in case anybody's interested. And let's grab the rectangle and another copy of our faux stitching. I'm going to zoom back out to make it easier to see. And that size on that stitched sentiment strip is 0.5 by 3.25. So 0.5 by 3.25. Oh, I have to unlock. Okay, and it's just a plain rectangle. We're not making any flags here. But if you wanted to make a flag, you'd pull in another free shape, which would be, well, you could use a square too, but I like to use the triangle. And you would turn it 90 degrees. And then you would shrink it down. This was 1/2 inch tall, so we're going to make this a 1/2 inch tall, or wide, I mean. And then you would just shrink that way down. And you would line those up. Make another copy of this, because what the heck. So you would align to the left, you would align at the top, and you would slice. And then you would take this piece and you would flip it 180. You bring it right back over here and you would select both and you would align at the top and align at the right. And you would slice again. So there you go. There's your flag if you want, or your whatever you want to call those. And we'll get rid of that. So I'll leave that one in there for you too if you want it. Alright, so let's go back and put our faux stitching on. So I'm going to grab our stitching line. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And again, you can always just use the handles and your shift key. For me, it's just quicker to type in 90. So let's put this, let's go to the 9 and the 15. So 15. And then I'm going to pull this up to 15.125 and 9.125. I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to send this blue rectangle to the back so I can see my stitching. And then I'm going to erase. Actually, I'm not going to erase it because I'm going to need a little bit more. So I'm going to pull it up here and regroup it. And I am probably going to go ahead and take out one more of those. Wrong one. Yeah, let's do that one. Okay, so I'm going to pull this down. Oh. I just want the rectangle. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to group those. I'm going to move this back up to 15 and 1, or 9 I should say. And there we have it. So this doesn't leave a lot of room. By the time we get our line at the bottom of this, there really isn't a lot of room. That's that one. Let's duplicate it. And we know it needs to go to 15.125. And that is, what do we say, 1/2 inch? So 9.5 minus 1/8 would be 375. So see, that does not leave you very much room. We can try moving those out a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what our measurement is now. It's more like a 1/16, but not quite. Okay. So then we're going to bring these remaining, you know what? I want to group both of those. 1, 2, oh no, grab the wrong one. I want to group those. And then I'm going to align and center. Alright, so I'm going to grab this one again and we're going to turn it back to the portrait alignment. And I'm going to kind of just drag it. I'll start over here because I know that should be 15.125. And got to come down a little bit. I'm really just eyeballing this right now because I'm not using the standard 1/8, quarter, 16th, whatever measurement. So I'm going to ungroup this so I can erase or delete these remaining lines. And there we go. So this, no, these 3 lines, then I'm going to group. I'm going to duplicate. And I'm going to move those down. It'll let me grab a hold of them. Actually, those probably should go out more, shouldn't they? Oh, I think it should. Since we moved our other lines, which means I could have added one of those back in there. But you know what I'm going to do? I got a plan. I am just going to stretch this out a little bit. There we go. So I want this one and this one, and I'm going to align those at the top, and I'm going to group them, and then I'm going to center everything. And we'll see what we got. Okay, there we go. That's not bad. So I'm going to attach that one. So that is what she calls the stitched sentiment strip. And the other one we created is she's calling the label. This one here is the label. So we've now created several of those. The other shape that she has is just a different size rectangle. So we can do one of those real quick. Let's see here. Just going to kind of pull these in a tighter formation. We're going to grab this last square. I'm going to get rid of these. And we're going to take this and we're going to make it the same size that she's used, which is 3 1/4 by 3.625. So 3.125 by 3.625. So it's barely rectangular. And that gives us one of those. So let's kind of just, let's pull this back to the front. We're going to align those over the top of each other. Align and center. I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to make that the darker blue. And we're going to put it here. Oh, bring it to the front. And you put it there somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and make another one of these. We're going to use our offset this time. Since we've got irregular shape here, we're going to use our offset. And I want the pointy corners, not the rounded, but you could do it either way. And I actually want this one smaller, so I'm going to make it -125. And apply. And we'll make that one then the light blue. There you go. Alright, so we've got this one, we've got this one. These are part of her original set, and then we need one more of these with the stitching around it. And it will be let's see, it's going to be a little bit smaller. So I'll make this one the dark blue. Well, I'll just duplicate here. I'll make this one the dark blue. Set it up here. Just kind of trying to line stuff up. So then we need to do the stitching on this one as well. So we're going to grab this again. And we're going to zoom in, and I'm going to put this here roughly at the 12 7. I'm going to move it to the back so I can see that stitching, and then I'm going to move my stitching to 12.125 and 7.125. Now this is a bigger shape, so I do think the 1.25 or the 1/8 inch will be all right. So I'm going to ungroup everything. because I need to eliminate some of those stitching lines, and I think we can take out one more. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to slide that over, grab those, regroup them, and slide this back over. So you can see this is kind of a tedious process, which is why if I get it done and I'm happy with it, I'm happy to share it, because I enjoy it. It's kind of like a puzzle for me, but not everybody enjoys this stuff. So I'm happy to share what I've done. Let's see. Okay, lost my train of thought. We're going to select that faux stitching line, and we are going to make a copy of it. Our rectangle here is 3.125 wide, so we're going to just take the 3 inches and add it to the 12, which will make it 15. I'm just going ahead and subtracting that quarter, or that 1/8 inch right there. So let's go 15 and 7.125. There we go. So I want to grab both of those. I'm going to group them. Actually, I keep doing that. I want a copy of this first because I'm going to need it. So now I'm going to grab them both and I'm going to group them. And I'm going to select everything there, and I'm going to align and center, just in case they needed to move down just a tiny bit. So I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees because we need to do the top and the bottom, right? And I know that it needs to be at 7.125. Oops. And 12.125. And I can ungroup it now. And I can see that I definitely need to get rid of a couple of these stitch marks, and I'd say that last one as well. Alright, so now I'm going to grab that rectangle back out of the way. I'm going to zoom in again just to make it easier on these old eyes, and I'm going to grab just the top line of stitching here. I'm going to group it. I'm going to move this back to the 12 and the 7. And then I'm going to grab another copy of this line here, and we'll bring it down, 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 down to 12.125. And I'm guessing, let's see, this was how long? 3.625, so 3.5 on top of 7 is 10.5 is what I need. So yeah, I was really close. Okay, so I'm going to grab that one and the top one, and we're going to group those, and then zoom out just a little bit, and we're going to grab everything and center. And there you have it. So we're going to attach it. So this will go back over. Oh, let's bring it to the front. So that can go over the top of that. Oh, wait a minute. Did I forget to make it smaller? I think I did. 3.125 by 3.625. No, I did. Oh, maybe I forgot to make this one bigger. Or maybe they're the same size. No. This one's 3 by 3.5. Okay, the stitched one is 3 by 3.5. Okay, well, that's easy enough to fix. And that doesn't really, except I did the wrong one. Oh my goodness. Okay, select the stitch one, and it's going to be 3 by 3.5. Okay. That won't affect those stitching too much because we didn't make that big of an adjustment. So there you go. You've got a few bonus pieces over here if you want them, as well as the stitching if you want to attempt to do any faux stitching. Now you could do it on this fairly easily once you get this angle here figured out. You could do this side of this and the top, It's the circle that give you a little bit of trouble, and I have kind of figured that out, but I'm still trying to perfect it, so I'll be back with that. But I'll leave this all here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to group it. Actually, I want to send those to the back just so you can even see the stitching. There we go. I'll select all that, group it, and I'm going to hide it. But it's here. It's hidden if you want it. And then this is the file. So we're going to save this because this is her Master Layouts 10. So I'm going to do a save as. Gina K. Whoops. Master Layout 10. And I'm going to put it under, well, I did case it, so I'll put it there in my shared files. And it's good for all occasion and basic cards, I'd say. So I'm going to save that. There you go. So what do we end up here as far as time? We are at the 36-minute mark, so not as bad as I thought. Plus we got a couple bonus shapes out of it. So I will save this file. Well, I've already saved it. What I will do is, if you go to the Facebook page, which is linked below, make sure you grab the page and not the group. I will link this video, and in the description of this video will be the link to the Design Space file for this Master Layout 10, and I will put 2, 3, and 4 there as well if you want those. I want to say thank you again to all my subscribers. We are, I believe we're approaching 900. We're pretty close. I think we're under 20. So thank you again to all of my subscribers, new and old. I wouldn't keep doing this without you, I don't think. It really inspires me to keep pushing forward. So thank you all very much for that. And until next time, I hope you have a happy crafty day.